You won't believe the heartbreaking unraveling behind one of hip-hop's most iconic queens. Queen Latifah, the multi-talented rapper, actress, and trailblazer who broke every barrier, now finds herself at the center of a devastating deciding scandal that has fans crying, friends divided, and the entertainment world in total disbelief. This isn't just another Hollywood heartbreak. This is a tragedy decades in the making. And it all exploded when one secret from her past came crashing back into the spotlight, sources say. It began with a single phone call, one that Queen Latifah never saw coming. A betrayal from someone she once called family. From that moment, her carefully guarded empire began to crumble. Forgotten deals, painful losses, a long-buried feud, and even rumors of a secret will, all bubbling beneath the surface, ready to destroy the legacy she spent a lifetime building. How did the Queen fall from grace? What happened behind closed doors with the people she trusted most? And is it too late to save her legacy, or has the final curtain already been drawn? Stay with us, because we're about to reveal the tragic fate of Queen Latifah, and trust us, it's far more than just a tabloid headline. It's betrayal, it's heartbreak, it's personal. It all started with a strange voicemail. Queen Latifah, whose real name is Dana Owens, had just wrapped a shoot in Atlanta when her assistant handed her a burner phone left behind in her trailer. At first, she thought it was a prop, but when she played the single message stored inside, her world flipped upside down. The voice was unmistakable. It belonged to her estranged cousin, Marcus Owens, a man she hadn't spoken to in over 17 years. His message was simple but chilling. "You know what you did? I'm not keeping quiet anymore." Fans had no idea what was brewing behind Queen Latifah's polished smile and award-winning performances. She'd always been the strong one, the leader, the queen. But behind closed doors, her past was about to catch up with her in the worst way possible. Marcus, who once toured with her during the early Flavor Unit days, had vanished from the public eye decades ago. Whispers about a family fallout circulated in the industry, but no one ever got the full story until now. Within 48 hours of the voicemail, Marcus went live on a late-night podcast called Truth Unlocked. In a shaky, emotional voice, he accused Queen Latifah of betrayal, not just personal, but financial. "I helped build her name," he said, voice cracking. "I was there before the Grammys, before the movies. But the moment she got big, she cut me out like I never existed." The internet went into meltdown. Fans who grew up idolizing Queen Latifah were stunned. Could it be true? Could the woman who empowered millions be hiding a dark secret? The comment sections flooded with speculation. "Say it ain't so," one user wrote. "She was the one. Celeb, I thought, was clean." But that was just the beginning. Behind the scenes, Queen Latifah was spiraling. Sources close to her say she locked herself in her home studio for days, refusing press calls, ignoring scripts, and going completely silent on social media. Those close to her described her as shaken, angry, and incredibly hurt. She felt blindsided, not just by the accusation, but by the fact that it came from family. Then came the second blow. An old friend, Monique Ellis, who used to work as Queen Latifah's assistant during the Living Single days, broke her silence. In a now viral TikTok, Monique hinted at something explosive. "I saw the contracts. I saw the emails, and all I'll say is, sometimes loyalty ain't enough when money's involved." She didn't say Queen Latifah's name directly, but fans connected the dots instantly. The media pounced. Tabloid headlines grew darker. Queen Latifah's empire built on betrayal. Inside her secret fallout with family and friends. Journalists began digging deep into her past, pulling receipts from old court records and forgotten interviews. And then, just as the public started to question everything, a sealed lawsuit filed in 2007 mysteriously leaked online. In the documents, Marcus Owens had sued Dana Owens for breach of verbal contract, claiming he was promised a cut of her early royalties and touring profits. The suit was dismissed with prejudice, and all parties signed a non-disclosure agreement. But now, it was clear something had happened. And whatever it was, Queen Latifah had paid to bury it. Fans were heartbroken. Emotions ran high. Many felt betrayed, while others rushed to her defense. "People love tearing down black excellence," one supporter tweeted. "Even queens bleed," another added. But the damage was spreading. Fast, Queen Latifah's upcoming Netflix series was quietly postponed. Brand deals paused, and her team scrambled to contain the situation. Still, Queen Latifah refused to speak publicly, till one night she walked into Hot 97's studio, unannounced. Asking for a live slot with Funk Flex, "I'm not here to start drama," she said, calm but fiery. "I'm here to end it." Her voice was firm, her tone controlled. But it was clear she was hurting. "I've never stolen from anyone in my life," she said. "I worked my ass off to get here. I buried my brother. I buried my mother. And I built my legacy from scratch." The studio fell silent. Marcus was my blood. He was my family. And yes, we had a falling out. But it wasn't about money. It was about choices. He made his, I made mine, and I paid the price for both. The broadcast lit up the internet. Fans praised her strength, her rawness, her honesty. For a moment, it seemed like she'd turned the tide. But just when things started to calm down, a third party entered the picture and flipped the entire narrative again. A woman named Crystal Hayes posted a 2-minute reel on Instagram, claiming to be the daughter of Queen Latifah's late older brother, Lancelot Owens Jr. In the video, she dropped a bombshell. Latifah promised to take care of our side of the family after Uncle Lance died. She said she'd never let us struggle. But when my mom got sick and we reached out for help, silence. Fans were stunned. Another family betrayal. Crystal's story gained traction fast. She posted medical bills, voicemails, and old family photos showing her as a child with Queen Latifah. "I'm not clout chasing," she said, tears in her eyes. "I'm telling the truth. We needed her, and she left us behind." Queen Latifah, now facing backlash from two sides of her own bloodline, was reportedly devastated. Her inner circle said she hadn't seen Crystal since she was a baby, that she'd sent support over the years but hadn't known about her mother's illness. Others claimed Queen Latifah had tried to reach out, but was blocked by extended relatives. But the internet wasn't waiting for facts. They were ready to choose sides again. As pressure mounted, Queen Latifah canceled a scheduled interview with Oprah. She was set to discuss her memoir and her upcoming projects, but now she was stuck in the middle of a storm that just wouldn't end. And just when fans thought things couldn't get worse, a private audio call between Queen Latifah and Marcus leaked and the world heard. Everything the leaked call hit the internet like a tidal wave. No one knew who recorded it. No one knew who leaked it. But once it was out there, it was too late. The audio was grainy, the voices slightly distorted but unmistakable. It started mid-conversation, Marcus's voice coming through tense, bitter. "You left me behind. D, you know you did." Queen Latifah's voice cracked through the static, calm at first. "You chose that path, Marcus. You walked away when I needed you most." He cut her off. "Don't flip it. I was there. Every tour, every show. I protected you. I handled things that would have ruined you if they got out." A pause. "And what did I get in return?" Marcus snapped. You acted like I was disposable." The moment the checks started getting bigger, silence on her end. Then, her voice, barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry, but I couldn't carry you forever." That last line broke the internet. Fans were devastated. The rawness, the pain, it didn't sound like two celebrities having a spat. It sounded like family falling apart, like decades of buried hurt spilling out in a 90-second audio clip. Emotions ran high across social media. Some listeners said the call changed their entire perspective. One fan wrote, "This wasn't just money. This was years of pain and silence finally boiling over." But even that wasn't the end. The leaked call reignited a firestorm around the mysterious lawsuit from 2007. Suddenly, documents began resurfacing, redacted emails, internal memos from Queen Latifah's legal team, and one particularly damning exchange that fans believe showed her negotiating to keep Marcus off payroll permanently. No context, no clarification, just speculation. And in the court of public opinion, that was more than enough. As if that wasn't enough, another twist came from someone totally unexpected: Cleo Owens. Queen Latifah's aunt, who hadn't spoken publicly in over 2 decades, released a handwritten letter to the press. In it, she detailed the family feud from her perspective. According to Cleo, the divide had been building long before Queen Latifah ever blew up. There was always tension. The letter read, jealousy, blame. People felt like Dana owed them for her success. But she was grieving. Her brother was gone. Her father had drifted, and she just wanted peace. But Cleo didn't defend her niece entirely. In fact, she added fuel to the fire. There were times Dana could have done more, said more, shown more heart. I watched her harden after fame hit, and some bridges she never tried to rebuild. The letter split fans even further. Some praised Cleo's honesty. Others accused her of opportunism. Queen Latifah remained publicly silent, but insiders said she was heartbroken beyond words. She had locked herself inside her Newark estate, canceling all press, refusing interviews, and shutting off her phone. Her manager was fielding all communication. Her therapist was visiting daily. Then came the betrayal that pushed her to the brink: Anne. Anonymous source inside her legal team leaked an internal memo dated from the early 2010s. It discussed a conflict of interest involving royalties owed 2 secondary collaborators, including one name highlighted in red: Marcus Owens. The memo claimed Queen Latifah had quietly moved profits from their joint touring venture into a separate holding account without formally informing Marcus. Though it wasn't illegal, it raised ethical questions. And, more importantly, it confirmed one thing fans had long suspected: something shady happened behind closed doors. The betrayal hit hard, not just for the fans, but for Queen Latifah herself. For decades, she'd built a reputation as a unifier, someone who used her voice, her power, and her platform to uplift others. But now, she was being painted as someone who climbed alone and left her people in the dust. Friends began speaking out, some defending her, others distancing themselves. Rapper and longtime collaborator Common posted a heartfelt video saying, "I've known Dana since day one. She's a real one. But people change. Success changes you. Grief changes you. I just hope she finds her way back." But not everyone was so forgiving. Mick Light, who once called Queen Latifah her sister in the game, shocked fans during a podcast appearance when she said, "Dana's always been a leader. But sometimes leaders forget who carried them before they wore the crown." That quote exploded online. Fans dissected every past interview, music video, and award show appearance. Suddenly, moments that once seemed empowering were now under scrutiny. One fan even unearthed an old MTV backstage clip where Queen Latifah brushed off a question about her family with a forced smile, saying, "I keep my circle tight and my heart tighter." What once sounded like strength now sounded like isolation. And just when things reached a boiling point, another old wound reopened, one that fans had long forgotten. The mysterious disappearance of the Queen's Code. Album rumors about a shelved project from 2004 had floated around for years. Some believed it was a politically charged concept album. Others thought it was too personal, too raw. But now, whispers emerged that the album was buried because it featured collaborations with Marcus's uncredited ones. Insiders leaked an old track list, and sure enough, Marcus's stage name, Mokehouse, was scribbled next to 3 unreleased tracks. Fans demanded the truth. They wanted to hear the songs. They wanted to know what was on that album. Was it the real story behind the feud? The emotional blueprint that started it all? But Queen Latifah stayed silent. No statement, no denial. Just silence. Behind the scenes, her health reportedly began to suffer. A source close to her team said she was barely sleeping. She'd lost weight. She wasn't eating. She'd been seen crying during meetings, saying over and over, "How did it all come to this?" Her team tried to shield her. Her publicist offered to release a formal statement. Her lawyer threatened to sue for defamation. But Queen Latifah refused. "I won't fight my family in court," she reportedly told her manager. "Even if they tear me down, I won't do it." But then, on the morning of her mother's birthday, July 22nd, Queen Latifah did something no one saw coming. She posted a photo, not a staged press shot, not a promo, just a faded Polaroid from 1992. It showed her, Marcus and her mother in a kitchen, smiling, arms wrapped around each other. No caption, no tags, and within minutes, the internet froze. Fans stared at the image, speechless. Some cried, others begged for reconciliation, others still questioned her motives. Was it peace? Was it guilt? Was it a cry for help? But deep in New Jersey, far away from the spotlight, Queen Latifah sat alone, scrolling through the thousands of comments, some loving, some cruel, wondering if her legacy, once so bright, had now become her biggest burden. And she had no idea that the biggest shock of all was still to come. Because the next person to step forward would threaten to expose everything. The person who stepped into the storm next wasn't from Queen Latifah's inner circle, the rap scene, or even the entertainment world. It was a woman named Denise Turner, a former accountant who claimed to have handled finances for Dana Owens between 1999 and 2006. She hadn't spoken publicly in over a decade. But suddenly, she uploaded a grainy, dimly lit video titled "The Truth About the Queen's Money." And within hours, it had nearly 1 million views. In the video, Denise sat in what looked like a cluttered attic office, papers stacked behind. Her tone was calm. But the words she spoke sent shockwaves through the already burning narrative. "I have no beef with Dana," she said. "She was always professional with me, always kind." But the truth is, there were major discrepancies in how her early business was handled. And Marcus wasn't lying. He was promised back end on several projects, and those payments never came. The internet exploded. Screenshot after screenshot began circulating from Denise's alleged files. Spreadsheets, royalty statements, with names scratched out. Was this the smoking gun everyone had been waiting for? Denise even hinted that Queen Latifah had tried to fix it years later. There was a moment in 2005 where Dana was ready to settle. To write him a check, no questions asked. But legal told her to let it go. Too risky, they said, and she listened. It was the kind of behind-the-scenes confirmation fans didn't know they needed and didn't want to believe. Queen Latifah, the queen of empowerment, the architect of unity, had been caught in a web of silence and survival. And now that web was unraveling, one thread at a time, back in Newark. Queen Latifah reportedly didn't leave her estate for 4 days. Insiders say her team urged her to go away, to retreat, to recover, to escape the storm. But she refused. "This is my city," she said. "I'm not running. but the weight was becoming too much to carry, and the next blow came not from an enemy, but from someone she had once mentored like a daughter, rising rapper and actress. Jasmine J had always credited Queen Latifah for giving her her first shot, a small but powerful feature. On a TDE project in 2016, the two had stayed close for years, with Jasmine calling her Auntie D in interviews. But during a live stream meant to promote her new album, a fan asked her about the ongoing Queen Latifah controversy. And Jasmine, clearly conflicted, didn't hold back. "I love her," Jasmine said. "She's done so much for me." But she taught me to speak truth. And the truth is, yeah, I saw how she treated some people. I saw the walls she built. And I saw the pain in the people she left behind. Those words hit harder than anything yet, because this wasn't a hater. This wasn't someone with a lawsuit. This was someone who loved her and still said she caused pain. It was too much. Queen Latifah finally canceled everything. Her scheduled appearance at the Bet Legends brunch, her podcast deal, a limited series that was in pre-production with Paramount. Everything. Her team told the media she needed space, healing, and time. But the world kept turning, kept turning. A private listening party for the shelved Queen's Code album, once forgotten, was quietly held by a collector in Los Angeles. Somehow, someone had gotten their hands on a burned CD copy of the unreleased project and leaked snippets online. Fans couldn't believe what they heard. The songs were raw, vulnerable, different from anything Queen Latifah had ever released. One track, Heavy Lies the Crown, included a verse that seemed directed at Marcus. "Blood in the boardroom, love in the grave, I built this castle but forgot who it saved." Fans were stunned. Had she already told this story 2 decades ago? Was this album her confession, the one she buried when the pain was still too fresh? A limited clip of another track titled Never Enough featured a haunting hook. "They said I owed them more but I gave my soul, my mama's tears, and my brother's ghost." The emotion in her voice was undeniable. People cried. Celebrities started reacting. Solange tweeted, "That unreleased Queen album. Who? She's been holding that pain a long time." Even J. Cole posted a message on Threads. Sometimes, people get broken trying to do right. That's what this Queen Latifah story feels like. For the first time in weeks, the tide began to shift. People stopped demanding an apology and started asking a deeper question. How much pressure was she under all these years? How much pain had she buried to stay strong for everyone else? But just as redemption felt possible, another ghost from the past reappeared. A man named Tristan Fields, an old music executive, who had clashed with Queen Latifah during her flavor unit management days, surfaced on a podcast and claimed she used loyalty as a weapon. "If you were in her inner circle, you were royalty," Tristan said, "but the second you questioned her, you were cut off. No explanation, no goodbye, just silence." The host asked if he believed Queen Latifah was capable of the things Marcus and Crystal had claimed. He didn't even hesitate. "Absolutely." And then he dropped a bombshell no one saw coming. "You want the real scandal?" he said. "Ask her what really happened to Lance's last project. Her brother had a mixtape. She promised him it would drop. She swore it, but after he died, she shelved it, told everyone it didn't exist. I heard that tape, and it was genius." Fans were floored. Latifah single quotes as late brother Lancelot Owens Jr. had always been a quiet inspiration in her work. She'd spoken often about how his tragic motorcycle accident changed her forever. But the idea that she may have silenced his final creative work, it was too painful to imagine. Reddit and X exploded with theories. Did she bury the mixtape to protect his legacy? Or was she afraid it would reveal things she didn't want the world to know? Either way, pressure mounted for her to respond. And finally, after weeks of silence, Queen Latifah released a video. No makeup, no glam. Just her, sitting in front of a piano in her childhood home. Her voice, trembling but strong, said, "I've been quiet because I didn't want to fight my own people. I've been quiet because I didn't want to turn grief into gossip. But I can't be silent anymore." She took a deep breath. Yes, Marcus was there. Yes, he helped me in the early days, and yes, we fell apart. We hurt each other. We lost each other. And there's not a day I don't feel the weight of that. Tears filled her eyes. And Crystal? "I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. I didn't know, but that's no excuse." As for the mixtape, she said, "My brother's tape does exist. I kept it private because it was unfinished, because it broke my heart. But if y'all want it, I'll find a way to share it. Not for headlines, not for redemption, but for him." The video ended. Fans around the world sat in stunned silence. Comments poured in by the thousands, some skeptical, some angry, but most of them just moved. And though the road to healing was far from over, one thing was clear: Queen Latifah had finally spoken her truth. But whether it was enough to save her legacy, that was still unknown, because the final twist in her tragic fate was waiting just around the corner, and it came from someone who knew her story better than anyone else. Someone who had been silent through it all. Until now, final twist in Queen Latifah's unraveling story came not from a bitter ex-collaborator, a forgotten cousin, or a whispering executive. It came from the only person who had remained silent through the entire firestorm: her father, Lancelot Owens Sr., a retired police officer who had stayed far from the public eye since his wife's passing. Lancelot had always been known as a quiet man, disciplined, private, a protector of the family name. Over the years, he'd given very few interviews, always declining to speak about his daughter's fame. But now, in the face of scandal threatening to swallow her whole, he stepped forward. With a voice the world didn't expect, and a story no one saw coming. It began when an unmarked envelope arrived at the offices of a major entertainment outlet. Inside, a handwritten letter from Lancelot Owens Sr., along with a flash drive. On the drive, audio recordings, journal entries, and what would become the most humanizing and heartbreaking account of Queen Latifah's journey ever revealed. The letter began plainly: "My daughter is not perfect, but she is not a villain." And from there, it only got deeper. Lancelot detailed the years following his son's death, how Dana, barely in her 20s, became the family's backbone, how she bought them a home, paid off debt, and tried to carry everyone on her shoulders while silently crumbling inside. She was never the same after Lance died. He wrote, "She smiled less, she slept less. She tried to heal the world, hoping someone would notice she was bleeding too." But the real shock came in the recordings. One, dated 2008, captured a private father-daughter conversation in which Queen Latifah, her voice thick with grief, confessed, "I don't know who to trust anymore, Daddy. I'm scared I'll lose everything, even myself." Fans were shattered. The woman they'd seen as unshakable, unstoppable, invincible, suddenly felt all too real. It wasn't just about fame or money or betrayal. It was about pain, about loss, about trying to survive while being expected to save everyone else. The recordings spread like wildfire. Media outlets scrambled for rights. Fans flooded social media with apologies, reflections, and pleas for compassion. "We judged too fast." One post read, "She's human like the rest of us." But the redemption arc didn't stop there, spurred by her father's gesture. Queen Latifah emerged from her silence one final time. This time, not through a video, not through an interview, but through music. Without warning, she dropped a surprise project on streaming platforms, an 8-track spoken word and rap fusion album titled Shattered Crown. It wasn't promoted. It wasn't flashy. It was raw, unfiltered. Her truth, in her own words. In one track, What They Don't See, she rapped. Gold frames on my pain, they never saw the stains smiling through the loss. While carrying the blame, they crowned me a queen. But queens still cry, had to bury my brother before I learned to say goodbye. The lyrics struck a chord around the world. Fans called it her most vulnerable work ever. Musicians and poets applauded the bravery. Even longtime critics admitted the artistry, the honesty, the courage to face the fire was undeniable. But Queen Latifah wasn't finished. In a stunning move of reconciliation, she invited Marcus and Crystal to meet privately. No cameras, no press, just family. Insiders say the meeting lasted over 6 hours. Voices were raised, tears were shed, truths were spoken, and at the end of it, there was a hug. It didn't erase the pain, it didn't undo the damage, but it was a start. A week later, Crystal posted a photo on her Instagram, a candlelit dinner table, 3 empty plates, and a caption that read, "Sometimes healing starts in silence." Marcus, too, posted a rare update, a black and white image of him and Queen Latifah as teenagers, goofing off in the studio. "We were kids," he wrote. "We didn't know how to hold on to love. Maybe now we will." The tide had turned, and yet questions still lingered. What would happen to the leaked tracks? Would Queen Latifah release her brother's mixtape to the world? What about Queen's Code? Would it finally get a full release? And perhaps the biggest question of all, was this redemption or simply the final chapter in a tragic saga? Industry. Insiders say Queen Latifah has no plans to return to acting or major music deals anytime soon. Instead, she's reportedly working on launching a nonprofit in her brother's name, a foundation focused on mental health, creative therapy, and supporting artists who feel lost in the spotlight. Fans once divided are now rallying behind her. Hashtags like #Stand with the Queen and #Shattered but Strong began trending worldwide. Fan pages turned from speculation to support. Posting old interviews, tribute edits, and messages of love. But despite the public's embrace, Queen Latifah remains cautious. Her team says she's focusing on rebuilding trust, not with the industry, but with herself. Taking long walks in Newark, writing in her journal, listening to old records her brother used to love. As for her father, he released one final message. "Sometimes the strongest people suffer in silence. My daughter carried our family when she should have been allowed to fall apart. Let her rest. Let her heal. And if you must judge her for the love she gave even when it broke her." Those words echoed across fan circles and media forums alike, because now the story of Queen Latifah wasn't just about betrayal or scandal. It had evolved into something much deeper, something timeless. The tragic fate of Queen Latifah wasn't her fall, it was her fight. Her struggle to stay human in a world that demanded perfection. And while her crown may have cracked, she never let it drop as the world watches and waits for what's next. One truth remains clear. The Queen isn't gone. She's just beginning again. After everything you've just heard, the leaked calls, the family feuds, the long-buried secrets, the pain, the strength, the redemption, we have to ask, where do you stand? Was Queen Latifah wrong for the choices she made? Or was she just another soul crushed under the weight of fame and grief? Did she betray her people? Or was she doing her best in a world that constantly demanded more from her? And now that she's spoken her truth, is it enough? Fans are still divided and emotions are running high. Some say her actions can't be forgiven. Others believe she's finally set the record straight. But one thing's for sure, this story isn't over. not by a long shot. So tell us what you think. Drop a comment below. Are you still riding for Queen Latifah? Or has this shaken your faith in one of hip-hop's most legendary icons? Don't forget to like this video if you were moved by her journey. Subscribe for more wild, emotional, and explosive stories from the world of music, fame, and reality. And hit that bell so you never miss the truth behind the headlines. Because in this game of crowns and chaos, the truth always finds its voice. Until next time, stay watching, stay questioning, and stay real.